Good evening, everyone. Let me know if you're on the YouTube or Facebook if you can hear me. The audio is always the one thing that I struggle with. Ooh, my hair. That I struggle the most with, and I apologize for the delay. We'll go ahead and jump right in and get started once I know for sure that I am audible. So I gotta fix this hair for a second here. Hang on. I just happened to look up at the screen and saw my reflection there. All right. A little bit of a delay, so I'm going to wait to make sure people can hear me, and then we'll get started. We're going to talk about a good name tonight. We're going to continue our study on the book of Proverbs, and one of the themes that Proverbs talks about is this idea of a good name. So we're going to have some fun with that and also look at what Proverbs says about a good name. So checking all my connections here and everything to see if my audio is working. It looks like it is on my side, but I've been tricked before into thinking you could hear me and was unable to. So anybody or anyone that can let me know for sure you can hear me. Or everybody may have fallen asleep waiting on me to get started. I apologize. All right. Well, okay. Christy just confirmed that the audio is coming through on her phone, so I'm going to assume everybody can hear me, and we're going to go ahead and just get started and jump right in. I mentioned this idea of a good name, and so you'll notice a little people here with all the different names, making them up. I thought that was kind of fun, and what people know you by is one thing. You know, in my opinion, there's two names we get. There's the name that we're given when we're born. And, all right, good afternoon, Miss Judy. She can hear me loud and clear. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So there's the name we're given when we're born. And then there's the name that we kind of earn. And we'll talk about that as we go along. But let's start with some fun game type things here. I thought you might be interested, and some of you may know this, but did anybody know what the top 5 girl names were in 1999? Now you may say, Chuck, that's 2 years ago. Why'd you go with something that old? Well, this information is based off the Social Security Administration data, and I guess they kind of run a year in arrears in compiling that data and getting it out to the public. And so the 1999 data would have come out in 2020. And as you can probably guess, that was a little bit delayed because of COVID and all the pandemic and everything. So that's kind of the most recent data we have. So that's why I'm going with 1999. I'm guessing the 2020 data probably is available now or will be available shortly, but hasn't been compiled, at least as far as people that do this type of stuff. So as of 1999, which was data as of last year, which was for the year before, what do you think the top 5 girl names were that year? Anybody got any guesses for me? We're going top 5 here. The names that make up the little characters on the screen, the little boy and the little girl, those drawings are made up of the top 100 names. I had a little fun with that. I found a little thing that'll let you take words and make a picture out of words. So I took those top 100 names for each of them, plopped it into it, and let it draw out a little picture there. And so move this out of the way. And so I thought that was kind of fun. Let me move this over here. All right, not getting any guesses yet. Guessing I may have a little bit of a lag. Anybody want to guess what one of the top 5 girl names were in the most recent data? I'll just put it that way, which happened to be 1999. This would be American-based because it's coming from Social Security Administration, so it's going to have more of an American slant, which actually surprised me as we get into some of these. I was surprised because of that. All right, Miss Judy saying Emily, Hannah, Sarah, or Alexis. All right, those are all good names and good guesses. I'll show them here in a moment. I'll wait and give people a chance to guess any names they think. And I do hear a lot of those names, Emily, Hannah, Sarah, and Alexis. Hear a lot of those. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give the answers, I guess, because I'm not seeing any other responses. Let me make sure I'm just not scrolling correctly. Have you tried responding, Christy?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all right. I just want to make sure it was working. All right. Well, the top 5 girl names in 1999 were Olivia, Emma, Ava, Sophia, and Isabella. I thought that was interesting. Uh, Emma is often a shortened version of Emily, so I thought it was interesting, Miss Judy, that you mentioned Emily. I guess Emily was probably fairly common, and then people started calling Emily's Emma, and now the name Emma as the official name, not just the shortened version, is becoming popular. So that's kind of interesting that stays the same. Um, all right, so Olivia, Emma, Ava, Sophia, and Isabella. Does anybody know anyone with these names? I know an Olivia. I know an Ava. Ooh. I know someone named Sophie, so I'm assuming that's Sophia. never known if the official name. I'm guessing the person I know that Sophie is probably Sophia. And the only Isabella I know is our cat, so I don't think that counts. All right. Those were the top 5 girl names in 1999. So another question regarding those. I took the top name there, that Olivia. Anybody know what the meaning of the name Olivia is? Do you think it's ancestor, descendant, universal, like a bird, or wisdom? And I pulled this from babiesnames.com. I know a lot of times you go with these the meaning of names, and you can get like 2 or 3 different ideas coming in from different places. So that's why I gave you the source. Don't go look it up, because that would kind of ruin the fun of it. But that's where I'm getting the name from. So you know, if you look it up somewhere else, you get a different response. That's why I'm getting these from babynames.com. It's interesting sometimes to see the differences in what these name meanings can give based on the source you look them up in. So Miss Judy says she knows an Olivia. All right. And the name Olivia. Anybody want to venture a guess as to which one of these is the meaning of that? All right, Miss Judy's going to go with wisdom. Nobody else is guessing. All right. Well, the meaning of the name Olivia is ancestor's descendant. Thought that was kind of interesting. Wait, I messed up something here. Hang on. Universal. All right, give me just a second, because I was giving the other names too, and I messed up something here. So give me just a moment to figure out what I did wrong. Boy, I don't know what I've done, but let me figure this out real quick. I was going to give you the names of the first. Olivia is ancestor's descendant. So the second one then, universal, would be Emma. And then, oh wait, now I messed it up. So universal would be Emma, and Ava, I believe, is like a bird. Let me clarify these. Boy, I messed that slide up somehow. Nice if I can see all this. I thought I had these slides all finished up. All right, so universal is Emma. That means I just got off my one line. So Ava is going to be like a bird. Let me double check this so I don't tell you wrong. Ava is like a bird, and which makes sense because that AV prefix has a lot to do with birds. All right, so yeah, Ava is like a bird. That means that the last one I had on the list here is going to be Sophia. That was the 5th name there, or Yeah, fifth name. Now I've lost my place. I can't find anything. All right. All right. Ooh, me. So ignore the comments there. Universal is Emma, Like a Bird is Ava, and Wisdom was Sophia. I was trying to give you all of them. I thought it'd be interesting to know the first five. And all right, Carol can hear me. Good news. Thanks for letting me know, Carol. All right, so I messed up the slide, but yeah, Olivia means ancestors descendant. Emma means universal. Ava means like a bird. And so means wisdom, which I should be able to pull that out because the word sophos is the Greek root there for wisdom. So definitely interesting meaning there for Olivia. All right, moving right along. Hopefully the rest of my slides aren't messed up. What's the top 5 boy names for that same period? Anybody know what the top 5 boy names were in the most recent data? Oh, Miss Judy says she has a great-granddaughter named Ava. All right. That's a pretty name, I think, Ava. Yeah, I thought when I was giving those options there, it'd be fun. Just go ahead and, if I was going to give multiple choice, go ahead and give some of the others. We could kind of see all the top 5 there at once. But, all right, not seeing any guesses here on the boy names. I'm getting a really slow connection, though, so that may be part of it. All right, Christy's going with boy names. Jaden? I'm worried now, seeing the red light on my internet connection here. Wondering if the lag's going to get really bad. Hopefully I won't freeze up. Not seeing other answers coming back in. So, not sure why the connection's so slow. Wasn't going that slow earlier. All right, well, hopefully some answers will be coming in, even though I may be about to share. Okay, Miss Judy got hers in. Jacob, Michael, Matthew, Joshua. Okay, definitely some very common names. So the top 5 from 1999 were Liam, Noah, Oliver, William, and Elijah. Now I thought that was very interesting because Liam, to me, I could see that being a really popular name in Europe because it is, I believe, of Irish origin there of some sort. But I didn't expect it to be as popular in the U.S. And this data is taken from the Social Security Administration data, so that really kind of surprised me that Liam was the most common name recorded in 1999. Carol says I'm drawing a blank. Okay, yeah. It's hard to come up with someone you think, okay, what would the top name be? I don't think I would have guessed any of these either. William, maybe. That's definitely a fairly common name. But Noah, Oliver, Elijah, those are ones that you don't see as much. Katie was guessing Joshua. All right. So, yeah, some interesting names there for the top 5. And so since we have a William in our group, I was trying to make sure I didn't ask any questions that might be too easy for him to answer. So we'll follow the trend from the last one. I want to ask you if you know what the meaning of the word of the name Liam is. Again, according to babynames.com. So if you disagree with this answer, you have to take it up with them, not with me. But do you think Liam means rest or peace? You think it means descendant of the ancestor? You think it means the gilded helmet or protector? Or do you think it means beautiful song? What do you think the name Liam means? Here in Alabama, we don't have a lot of Liams, at least not that I've come across. But apparently there were a lot of babies given the name Liam in the last few years. Oh, I failed to mention when we were talking about the girls' names, what was the first name? Olivia. Olivia actually became the number 1 name that year and took over the name Emma, which had been the number 1 name for the several years before that. So Emma was number 2, I believe, and had just dropped back down to that second place name. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. So Christy's going with beautiful song is the meaning for Liam. Carol's answering the the last question. We got a little delay on my answers coming in. All right, so Carol's answering like a bird on um, the last the girls' names question. All right, yeah, my internet connection being so slow kind of jumbles things up here a little bit. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and give the answer. I'm guessing people will guess as they see it, and I'll see the results a little bit later, just because I'm getting feedback slower than it's being put in. But the name Liam means with gilded helmet or protector. I think with gilded helmet is kind of the official meaning of it, but kind of the idea there meaning that that someone who wears that helmet would be the one protecting you. So it means protector, which is kind of interesting. The other choices I gave you there, rest or peace, is actually the definition of the word Noah, which was also one of those top names. Noah was. Oh, I need to shrink this down so I can see it. Instead, I made it disappear. Let's go here. I don't remember the name, order of them. Noah was the number 2 name, so that's rest or peace. Descendant of the ancestor was Oliver. Okay, Miss Judy was guessing gilded helmet or protector. She said the 3rd choice there, so you got that one right, Miss Judy. But the excuse me. The descendant of the ancestor is the meaning of the word Oliver. You may say, wait a minute, we just saw that, didn't we? And I thought that was kind of interesting too, that Olivia and Oliver, come from the same name. I guess that it makes sense when you look at it side by side, but I didn't think of that when I was going through the list and make that connection. They both come from the same root words, and so Oliver and Olivia are kind of male and female versions of similar names there, and they have the same meaning, descendant of the ancestor. Beautiful song I just threw in there to confuse you, because the next one on the list was William, and William actually means, I almost was going to ask William if he knew what his name meant, but the lag will be too late for me to get it back. William actually means with gilded helmet or protector as well, because Liam is a shortened version of William. And I didn't know that those 2 names come from the same thing as well. So Liam and William have the same meaning because they're from the same root words there. Liam being kind of a shortened version of William. So anybody know that already? That was brand new to me. I had no idea Liam was from the word William. So all right, so I taught somebody something new, including myself. All right. Another question about names. What books of the Bible are represented in the top 50 names for boys and girls? Actually, this is the top 100. I messed up on that slide too. I use the top 100 for both boys and girls, and there are some books of the Bible who are represented in those names. Anybody want to guess what books of the Bible titles actually make it as names in the top 100 for both boys and girls? Some of them should be easy once you start once you start thinking about it. Some of them aren't so easy, in my opinion. Some of them I would not have thought would have been top 100 today that are. So, anybody want to guess what books of the Bible are represented there in the top 100 names for boys and girls? Trying to refresh my screen here, make sure I don't miss any comments. I'm still getting a red connection here, so I know things are going kind of slow. So it's a really good thing I have a short one tonight. I was keeping it kind of short because the last few have run long, and with getting a little bit late start and the slowness of my connection, it's probably a good thing that I kept this study a little bit shorter than some of the others. All right. Katie's guessing Esther, Mark, Luke, Ruth, John, Matthew. Here she's guessing Joshua, Ruth, Samuel, Matthew, and John. All right. Miss Judy had already guessed Matthew and Joshua as some of the top boy names, so obviously you would expect some of those to be in there. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and share the list. I know other lists are probably coming in. I just haven't seen them yet, but for the sake of time, I'll keep moving. And whenever you see this, I'm sure the answers will pop in maybe a little bit delayed because of my connection. But these are the names that were in the top 100 of those both lists. There's 200 names total I was looking at. Daniel, I put them in alphabetical order. Daniel, Ezekiel, I was surprised by that one. Daniel, I wasn't so surprised by. That is still a pretty common name. I know a lot of people name Daniel. But Ezekiel was, I was really shocked to see that was in the top 100 names for boys. Ezra, I was shocked at that one as well. I would not have thought that would be a top 100 name in terms of number of times it's used. And then Genesis, that's the only name from the girls list. That's why I included the girls list. But Genesis is listed in that listing of girl names, and so that's in there as well. Isaiah didn't surprise me. Jeremiah didn't surprise me that it was used, but it surprised me that it was that common. You don't see it as often. You still see it from time to time, but to know that it was in the top 100 boy names was kind of a surprise to me. John didn't surprise me. Joshua didn't surprise me. Luke, Matthew, none of those surprised me. The gospel names you kind of expect. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you kind of expect those to probably make the top 100 because those still seem pretty common. And then Samuel, that one kind of surprised me a little bit. Definitely you see Samuel, fairly frequently, but I guess I didn't think about being top 100 there. So a lot of Bible book names. There's also a lot of biblical names referenced in there. I didn't try to go into all those. I mean, there are plenty of Noah is in the top 5. Just as far as characters that are in the Bible. So there's a lot of those. I was surprised that Esther and Ruth didn't make it into the top 100. I would have thought at least one of those two would have been top 100 girl names, but didn't see them on the list. All right. Well, we're talking about a good name, and I mentioned to you there's the name you get when you're born, and there's the name that you earn. And we're talking about the latter when we're talking about the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold." The word "good" there, in most of your translations you look at, will be in italics because it's not part of the original text. It's added for clarity. It basically just says name is rather to be chosen than great riches. And it's really pointing out the fact that this idea of the name is what someone's known by. It's using in that phrase, that term of your reputation. The name that you have. Miss Judy was guessing yours coming through, Ruth, Esther, Matthew. And yeah, would have thought Mark would be there. Yeah, I thought Mark would have been in the top 100 as well. Was surprised it wasn't. Maybe that's because some of those are, maybe Mark's used as a shortened version of Marcus and other things like that. So maybe that threw it off in terms of being all the variations. I don't know. But yeah, this verse is saying that, your name, a good reputation is to be desired more than great riches. And loving favor, having people appreciate you for who you are rather than silver and gold. He's saying that to get a good name, to have a good standing in front of people is more important than all these other things. And Proverbs talks a lot about the different aspects of this getting a good name and the importance of it. One thing about a good name is it gives stability. Proverbs 12:3 says, "A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved." If we make sure that our life is one that's up to God's standards, that's focused on Him and trying to be obedient to what He wants, we're going to have a stability that other people don't have. And that's kind of what this idea of a good name is someone who's putting their emphasis on doing what's right. I saw a quote, I don't remember exactly how it was put, but someone said, what would you rather be remembered for, down the road in your ancestors when your descendants talk about you? Would you rather be remembered to say, Chuck was a really wealthy man? Or would you rather be remembered as, Chuck was a good person. Chuck was an honest person. Chuck was someone you could count on. I think most of us would agree we'd rather have the latter. We'd rather have people that could say, that was someone that was a good friend. That was someone that you knew what to expect. All those intangible things that people might say about us are so much more important than, fame or riches. And, our society today puts everything on just be famous, just be rich, just be, the center of attention and all that. Really, what we really need is to make sure that our life is one of integrity. It's one of having a good name. And not only gives us stability, but this idea of a good name, it comes from others. That's one thing to keep in mind with this, is we don't get a good name by simply going out and stating it. Our first name is given to us by our parents before they even know anything about us. So they're giving us names, and it may or may not apply to who we are as we grow up. We can either live into that name or we can not live into that name. But the name that we get from living our life, the reputation we have, the what other people think about us, we can't really dictate that by stating it. I can't just go out and say, well, this is who I'm like, this is who I am. The more we try that, the more it seems so fake, and people see right through it. It really has to come from others. Proverbs 27:2 says, let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. The name we have, our reputation, is going to come from other people watching our lives. And that's the only way that we can get that. It also carries honor. Proverbs 10:7 says, the memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. In chapter 12, verse 8 says, a man shall be commanded according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. So there's this idea that, if we put our emphasis on making sure that we're a good person, that we're the type of person that we would want our children to recognize us as, or our ancestors to recognize us as, if we put our emphasis on that, then we're going to have more of a legacy than if we just try to have a legacy. And I mentioned before, I won't go into that a lot, but I've talked before about how there's this idea of what kind of legacy you're going to leave, and I often think that that doesn't really matter so much about a legacy. We're not really here for ourselves and to establish who we are. We're here to tell people about Christ and to please Him, and my goal is just simply to get to know Him and to spend eternity with Him. But there is that, that we're going to leave a legacy, whether we want to or not. And that's kind of what this passage is talking about, is that if we just focus on being a good person, on doing what God wants us to do, living life His way, then we will be remembered. We will be commended. People will naturally notice that, and we will have that good name. But the opposite is also true. Notice that in each one of these. Again, this is poetry, so they're using that balancing part where they have two different thoughts to show the difference there. He's saying that just in the way that we will be remembered if we do what's right, the wicked will be forgotten and overlooked because of that. And he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised, meaning looked at with disdain. All right, quick question here, going back to the names. What's the meaning of the name Solomon? Solomon's obviously the one writing what we're reading at this point, and what does Solomon mean? Is it beloved? Again, I'm going from babynames.com. Is it beloved, peaceful one, God is salvation, or the new house? Miss Judy says, I hope I would be known for being a good wife, mother, and most of all a Christian. That's the best name we can have, isn't it? For people to look back and say, Miss Judy was a good wife. She was a good mother. She was a good person. That's what Solomon is saying here. That ought to be our desire more than anything else in the world, is to have a good name, have a good reputation, a good legacy. All right, Christy's going with beloved for the name Solomon. And I'm going to keep going on. I'm sure other people are going to guess, but my suspicion is you won't see the question I just asked for a little while longer. So I'm going to go ahead and give the answer, and your answers will probably come in about the same time it's being shown. But peaceful one is the meaning of the word Solomon. Beloved is actually the meaning of the word David, his dad. Solomon was peaceful one. God of salvation is the meaning of the word Jesus. So I threw that one in as well. The new house, you'll see that name come up, that definition of a name come up again later, so we'll cover that one another time, but it was relevant as well. But yeah, peaceful one was the meaning of the word Solomon. Talking about how to get a good name. We talked about why it was important, the fact it gives us stability, the fact that it comes from other people, it's an external thing, not something we just create by stating it, but something we create by living it. So how do we get a good name? Peaceful one. Miss Judy got the Solomon right. Good job on that one. How do we get a good name? First of all, just by integrity. I've used that word a couple times because to me that's what a good name goes along with. It's about doing the right thing each and every time. Doing the right thing whether it's the easiest thing or not. Proverbs 11:3 says, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. If we focus on doing the right thing, that's going to give us a guide. It's going to give us a purpose. It's going to give us direction. But people that don't really care about doing the right thing, the Bible says it's going to lead to their ruin. It's it's sad to me so many times to see people who claim to be Christians that don't want to do the right thing. Now, I know we all make mistakes. We all fail at times. But the people I'm talking about, the people that just don't seem to really be concerned about whether this is right or wrong, just don't really kind of worry about it at all. Just kind of whatever. I'll just do what needs to be done. To me, that's so incongruous. It just doesn't. It's at odds with being a Christian. We ought to desire to do the right thing. That's what integrity is talking about there. Proverbs 27 says, "The just man walketh in his integrity; his children are blessed after him." Again, showing that idea of how we live our life today is seen by the people that come after us. Our children are impacted by our behaviors. We see that so often in life, don't we? We see people who are caught up in scandal, caught up in things of that nature, and who's impacted the most? It's their family. The people who have to live with, I don't know why they did that. I don't know, what they were thinking. They're the ones that have to live with that shame and that the stigma of things that someone in their family did. That's the impact of not living with integrity, and it's the opposite of having a good name. That's the bad name, if you want to put it there. So that's how we get a good name, is by doing the right thing consistently. You get a good name by being honest. Honesty is another part of this. Proverbs 12:20 says, "Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy." Do we put an emphasis on saying, you know what, I want to speak what's true. I don't want to speak what's just convenient. I don't want to speak what people want to hear. I just want to speak what's true. Proverbs 13:5 says, "A righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and cometh to shame." He says if we truly are pursuing God, and we're truly pursuing a walk with Christ, lying ought to be one of those things that we can't stand. Unfortunately, so many times lying is one of those things that even Christians kind of gloss over as, well, it's just a white lie, it's just a little lie, and we kind of write it off as no big deal. He says we ought to hate lying. Dishonesty ought to be one of the things that is most egregious to us, and that's what he's saying. That's how we get to have a good name, is by focusing on being an honest person and making sure that we are honest. Another way to get a good name: seek God in His ways. Proverbs 11:27 says, "He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor. He that seeketh mischief, it shall come to him." He's basically saying, what you look for, you're going to get. Isn't that so true in life so many times? If you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it. If you're looking for negative things to happen, they're going to happen. And if you're looking for something good, if you're looking to do better, if you're looking to improve, then you're going to do that as well. It all starts with what we're putting our emphasis on and what we're putting our focus on. And he says if we diligently seek good, we get favor from that. People will see that in our lives, and our reputation, our name will reflect what we're seeking after. I think that's a big part of this is what's important in our lives. What have we given the priority in our life? It's so easy sometimes to let money and career and all these different things kind of take a priority in our life. People are going to see that. We may not even see it at the time. We don't even realize that what we're doing and how we prioritize things, other people may see it even better than we do. That's where we get that name. Be it good or be it bad, it's basically by putting the important things first. And what we're seeking after, what we're pouring our heart into, is what's really important to us is going to determine whether we have that good name or not. Proverbs 21:21 says, "He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor." If we seek to do right, if we seek to be able to be like Christ, we will become more like Him. The Holy Spirit will begin to work in us and change us to that end. All right, last question of the night. What's the only name in the top 10, top 100 for boys and girl names that starts with an X? Oh, man, I gave it away. I messed up the slide again. Would everybody have gotten that one? Would you have known that one? Yeah. Man, they're supposed to. I wonder if I have a slide after this that's... Nope, I didn't. I just didn't put the one with the blank. All right. So anyway... Anybody want to guess what the only name in the top 100 of boys and girls that starts with an X? And that's where I had that meaning of the word new house on the last slide. That's the meaning of Xavier, is the new house. I thought that was kind of interesting. The only name that made the top 100 that started with an X for either boys or girls was Xavier. And oddly enough, there were no Z's in the boy names, and there were a few Z's in the girl names. Anybody want to guess what some of the girl names were that had a Z? Since I spoiled the Xavier one. No, she's like, Xavier? It's easier when I ask the question and give the answer in the same slide, isn't it? Oh, that's been me for a while now. All right. Yeah, Zoe. Zoe was one of those girl names that started with a Z. It was in the top 100. And unfortunately, I can't pull them up because I have somehow made it so small it doesn't show up on my screen anymore. But yeah, Xavier was the only name. All right, so the last thing I wanted to point out is we're talking about how to get a good name. We talked about living with integrity. We talked about folk putting emphasis on honesty and doing the right thing. We talked about seeking God and seeking His ways. The last thing is watch our actions. I've mentioned before that a good name is something that people give us, something that people see from the outside. Is something that, in a sense, is earned, and that means we need to put an emphasis on what do we do. Zeta. Okay, that's a pretty girl's name. I don't recall seeing that one, so I can't pull the list up now. I'm not sure, but I do like that name. I don't know if that was in the top 100 or not. But it's about our actions. Proverbs 20 verse 11 says, "Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right." It's true that we're known by how we behave. Have you ever had a young person? Everybody goes, "Oh, watch out! He's a handful," or "Oh, there comes trouble." Those types of sayings that even for a child, somebody says, "Oh, we had so and so in our class today," and everybody's like, "Oh." We have a reputation. Even as children, we get a reputation based on how we behave and what our actions are. And Proverbs is saying that's not just a thing for children. That's the same way for the rest of our life. The actions we repeatedly do, the things we do over and over again, shape who people see us as. Zelda, that's another girl's name that starts with Z. Yeah, I don't know if that was in the top 100 either, but it might be. I wish I could pull that list up again and see what those Z's were. I know Zoe was in it, but I don't remember what the other. There were one or two others. But our actions become our reputation. And so that's what Proverbs is saying here, is that what we're really like is going to show up in how we behave, whether it's integrity or whether it's the opposite, whether it's honesty or whether it's the opposite, whether it's seeking God or whether it's seeking everything else. And I thought this kind of fit well. The Proverbs is saying about getting this good name fits a lot with what Jesus had to say in Matthew chapter 12. He says, "Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by its fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things. An evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things." What we allow to be in our heart is going to come out in the way we live and the actions that we do. And when the actions that we do are what people are going to see, and that's going to give us a name, whether it be a good name or whether it be a bad name. And Proverbs says a good name is rather to be chosen than riches. And so that should be our goal, is not to leave a legacy, not to just to be a good person, but to be the kind of person God wants us to be, to see someone who represents God in the proper way. And that ought to start with shaping what's inside. So I hope you had a little fun with this. Apologize for the delay and the lag on this, the internet. But I hope you had some fun with that. Hope you also take some time this week to really think about how are we living? How are we doing? It's a good time for a checkup. Say, you know what? Am I living with integrity? Am I putting emphasis on honesty? Am I really seeking God and His ways and allowing that to make me into someone who has a good name, a good reputation, someone who when people see, they go, yeah, I know that person. And that when someone says that, oh, I know them, that can be a good thing or a bad thing, right? What we want is people say, oh, I know them, for that to be a good thing. That's what Proverbs is saying. Hope you all have had a great day. I hope you have a great week. If I can be of help to you, just don't hesitate to let me know, and we'll talk to you again soon. Love you all. Goodbye.